5,
4,
3, 2, 1.
If we have any goals this season, absolutely. We're going to win a lot of games. We're going to get in the playoffs.
It's Packer Week. Bears Nation.
You know, it means a lot. Of course, I want to win every game that I play. Just the tradition with this rivalry means a lot to us as a team, to the fan base, to, the people upstairs. So it just means a lot to everyone in the building.
However you get it done, you get it done. It's about being resilient as a group. And we're a football team. We're not offense, defense, kicking. We're the Chicago Bears. We're the Chicago Bears. We're the Chicago Bears. We're the Chicago Bears.
It's time for the Bears Nation podcast with your hosts, Kevin Lapka and Jake Hassan. Powered by Bet State.
See you in the Super Bowl.
Strap it in. It's the Bears Nation podcast.
We do not suck.
The one problem with that intro is the "we do not suck" part. We don't know that yet.
No, we do.
We don't know that
We
yet. This is Bears Nation podcast. It is Wednesday, September 14th. It is the preview episode for the Bears Week 2 matchup on Sunday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers, because that went so well last time this happened. It did go well for a half.
It wasn't that bad.
It was pretty bad.
It could have been worse. It wasn't 6 touchdowns by Aaron Rodgers in the first half. Bad.
Well, get ready, folks, because the last time that Aaron Rodgers lost a Week 1 game that embarrassingly that he did against the Vikings, spoiler alert, it was last year against the Saints. And what did he do in Week 2? Oh, he just went and only had 4 incompletions and threw for 4 touchdowns and shellacked the Detroit Lions. Now, granted, the Bears are a little bit better than the Detroit Lions as of this moment in time. But it's still scary because Aaron Rodgers that has been spurned and an Aaron Rodgers that has been slighted, there we go, is something
slighted?
to fear.
Has he been slighted?
Yeah, with that stupid haircut too.
Okay, that's
I'm
true.
scared. And I have also I'm scared, but I've also convinced myself that the Bears secondary actually could have success against this inexperienced Packers wide receivers core, and that therefore keep you in the game. So I don't know. It's a real Sophie's choice here, Kevin Lapka. So this is Bears Nation podcast. Welcome into Week 2 preview of Sunday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers.
Yes.
Kevin Lapka, how we doing?
I'm doing well. I'm excited about Sunday Night Football. I really am. But if you watched Sunday Night Football last week, I am not very fond of the new theme song with Carrie Underwood. It's new, and it's,
How dare you say anything negative about Carrie Underwood?
Carrie Underwood's
I will
great.
fight you where
Carrie
you
Underwood's
stand,
great.
sir.
Well, here's what I will say, Jake. The Faith Hill intro from whenever like the 2008 Faith Hill, that was peak Sunday Night Football theme
I don't
opening
even
music.
remember that.
Like that was when they remade that song. I forget how it goes, but the new one with Carrie Underwood, it's boring and it's lame. It doesn't get me as excited. Like I still get chills. I'll get chills every time, but it's not the same. But nonetheless, it's Bears Packers, and the moment you hear that music and they pan over to Tirico and Collinsworth, it just feels like
that's actually something we didn't discuss.
No
on
sliding.
Monday. There was no slide. What was that about?
It's really upsetting. It actually really bothers me.
But first slide of the year.
Coming Bears Packers.
That's not bad. Well, did he do he might have done a slide on Thursday.
He didn't because I remember
0 for 2 on slides. That's disappointing. If we see
if he slides in, the Bears are winning. That's
if we see like the disappearance and like the retirement of the slide, I will be
you can't do it.
I'll be inconsolable. If you retire the slide, that's taking away a piece of America. Like that is taken. Like you might as well light the Declaration of Independence on fire. You take away a Collinsworth slide on Sunday Night Football. What are we doing here? What's the point? What is the point? What's to quote The Office? What's this all been about? If there's no slide, what's this all been about?
That's great. That's great about it being a piece of America. It
is
so right. It feels so right.
I stand by that.
But yeah, man, I mean, here's the problem with the Bears-Packers rivalry of recency, okay? And I was thinking about this today as I was putting together my notes and thinking about the game.
You mean the last 10 years?
Well, yes,
15 years?
yes. And there
20 years?
This stupid computer.
Usually it stays on if you plug it into a power source.
Okay, well,
Like
that's
any
just we don't have enough outlets for that. But it just feels like for the past 10 years or whatever you want to say recently is, which has been really since Aaron Rodgers has been around. Our lifetime. Sure, let's put it that way.
Rodgers Favre was before
Favre
that
too. But I mean, there have been winnable, there have been spurts where you were a winning team against them. But every time you see the Packers on the schedule, it's chalked up as you don't have a chance and you're not going to win most likely. And it's hard. I just feel like it's made it harder for Bears fans to love the rivalry because for a lot of us who are younger,
because you got your ass kicked.
Well, exactly. So it's hard for you.
What's fun about that?
Well, that's what I mean. So that's what I mean when I say like it's hard for us to get as excited about this rivalry as even back in some of those Cutler years in the 2010s where like those games were you had a legitimate chance to win, and a bunch of them you were expected to win. And now you walk into it, and it feels like you're just a dead man walking before the game even starts. And it's just it's frustrating, and that's why like. The coming year, specifically this year, is your opportunity to change that. This is where that changes. Where going forward, if Rodgers is, either done with the organization after this year, or God knows what he's going to do, like this is your chance to change that. Where now for the next 10 years, the Packers are the ones who are the dead men walking before this game, and they're the ones who are looking at the Bears on the schedule. Ideally, that's the point you want to get to. But it's like
we also had this conversation 4 years ago, though, too.
And Matt in the chat says it's a rivalry game in name only. And there's a lot of truth. There is a lot of truth to that. There's history to it. And history is the basis of any rivalry, right? I mean, that the biggest rivalries in all of sports history are the ones that date back the furthest. Red Sox, Yankees, Bears, Packers, Michigan, Ohio State, right? Like it's the history of the rivalries that make them good. But it's gotten to a point where like, the games haven't felt like rivalry games.
They've been non-competitive.
And they haven't like when you watch that game, you don't feel the same fire that you felt in those 2010s years and you think about and obviously we weren't live then, but 85 and just I want that back. Like at the very minimum, like I want this to feel like an OG Bears Packers rivalry game. And based off of what we saw in week 1 and the way that team performed from an effort standpoint, I think we could get close to that just from up here like I'm going to try to knock your teeth out every play.
So this has been my thing with as far as the culture thing. Like my whole thing, I said it all off season was, yeah, it's great. You can preach this hits principle and you can be like preaching this and this, culture and the community. And, you can be hugging on the field and doing, belly slides on the wet field. But once you start like that first bad loss, once the losing starts, that's when it's really going to show if how much guys are bought in and how like if the Bears go in on Sunday and you immediately get kicked in the teeth and it's immediately non-competitive and you're like, all right, you just lose right away, then we're really going to learn a lot about this team. Because when you beat the 49ers and, in a sloppy game and a game that's bad conditions, yeah, it's great to be like, yeah, we're all in on hits. Yeah, this is great culture. Yeah, we're all in. You go out there and Aaron Rodgers has a double-digit lead against you going into halftime, then what happens? Then then we'll know a lot about this team. That's when we'll learn. I mean, you said on Monday, I love this team. I love everything they're about. We really don't know what this team is about yet. I would argue that. And so, yeah, it's great. A week 1 win and a game you weren't supposed to win and you do. Time and time and time again, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers have completely changed how you feel about this team. They changed it in the spin.
True. And that's so true. I mean, think about what was it like 2019, 2020, where the Bears were getting steam. What I think it was 2020 when they were on the 6-game win streak going into Lambeau. They were on this, right? They're on some crazy win streak with Mitch, and then they went to Lambeau, and everyone's like, "Here's the chance for Mitch to like light up the Packers." And I think we lost like 45-20 or something like that.
Was it the game that he came back in his first start,
or maybe it was? Sorry, it was the opposite. It was they had lost 6 in a row. Mm-hmm. But I know what you're saying. Where like there have been so many times where the team looks better. This is like. Right. We have momentum going into Lambeau, and this is another chance. Like when you don't, first of all, when you don't have momentum going to Lambeau, like you're dead. Like it's not going to happen. Sure. But when you do have momentum, it gives us a little bit of false hope, but it's necessary. Like you cannot go in there without a little bit of momentum and confidence that you can beat that team.
Well, it even happened in 2018, first game of the year, the Matt Nagy year, that when he won Coach of the Year and everything was great. Everyone was really excited, and granted, you go on, you have a great season, but there was that Game 1, week 1 against the Packers, and they come out and you lose that game and you're like, oh crap. All right. This guy stinks, and he ended up stinking. But like it immediately dashed your hopes for the season because you just got embarrassed really in week 1 right off the bat to the Packers. And you're like, oh great, here we go. And even to an extent last year, that first game against the Packers where Justin Fields, you're feeling good about him. You're like, all right, here we go. And then you just lose. And you just lose. And it's like you had chances to win that game, and then you just lose. And even the Sunday night game last year, you have a couple crazy plays that make it competitive, and you have a first half there. Like, okay, maybe,
you're 10 points. It's 24-14.
And here you go. Like, all right, the Bears, this is what they're going to be next year. This is a good jumping off point to carry the momentum into the offseason. And then no. And you just lose. And you just get your heart ripped out. And I said to you, I remember during that game, I texted you. I was like, "This is not going to last." And you're texting me, "Let's go!" I told you. I was like, "Okay." And then it completely flips in halftime, and I turned it off before the end of the third quarter. I think because it was just that bad, and you just lose, and you just get your heart ripped out. And yeah, I would love to believe in this team, and I would love to believe in Eberflus and his coaching style, and I would love to believe that this team is all in. Let's see what happens Sunday. You're waiting. It's going to be and I will say this for the first time in a long time, because last year was waiting all night for Sunday night. No, I'm not, because I know how this is going to end.
Waiting all day for Sunday night.
This is for the first time in a while. It's actually going to be waiting all day for Sunday night, because I'm actually interested to see how this team responds when you inevitably go down in this game. And maybe I would love to be wrong. I would love to have Jaquan Brisker and Eddie Jackson and Jalen Johnson and this defensive intensity come out and take advantage of this inexperienced Packers wide receiver core and take advantage of the frustrations that Aaron Rodgers has with everyone not named A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. I would love that. That'd be great. Prove me wrong. Please, by all means, prove me wrong. And Justin Fields, step up to the challenge like Kevin Lapka predicted not once, twice last season against the Packers, the changing of the guard and taking Aaron Rodgers' spot as the top quarterback. But please do that this year, because I sat here last season. I was like, it's not going to happen. There is a path for the Bears to surprise people in this game. Everything has to go right. You have to, what did I say last week? At this time last week, before the 49ers game, what did I say? You have to rattle Trey Lance, and you have to force an early turnover, get in his head, make him uncomfortable. You have to do the same thing. Now, is it much harder to make Aaron Rodgers uncomfortable? Yes. Time and again for years, that's been Aaron Rodgers' thing. He doesn't get rattled very easily. Yes, you can see him get frustrated, but he doesn't get rattled. Like he'll still go out there and throw that dagger touchdown and throw that dagger completion and really rip your heart out. And especially against the Bears, not just the Bears, but the whole entire NFL, he does that, but especially the Bears. So there is a chance for you to do that this year, that there, especially if Allen Lazard remains inactive. There's no Devontae Adams. Lazard's inactive. If Aaron Rodgers has to throw to these young and experienced guys who he's already frustrated with,
clearly
there is a way for you to just sow those seeds of doubt and kind of really dig into those cracks that already exist. There is a way. Am I expecting it? No, but it is a way for that to happen. You could, if you do the same thing and you go out there and do the same intensity, there's a way. There is a path for you to surprise in this game.
But I would say the way isn't just through the flaws of the Packers. It's also through the strength of the Bears, and when you look at this team and really it's not just for me, the way I approach this game on how they can win, how they're going to come out. It's not just off of Eberflus and the new, coaching staff. I think a lot of it is Justin Fields and the confidence that he has in himself and the confidence that he instills in the rest of the team. I mean, if you think about those games against the Packers, those years with Mitch and beforehand, like, it felt like you were walking into the stadium down 14-0. It felt like you were walking in and you knew the inevitable, and the players knew it. The coaches knew it.
The vibe was off.
The vibe was off. Like there was no, like I would probably come on the show and be like, oh, they got a chance.
Probably.
I did because I mean, I'm always going to talk about how there is a way to win, because in every game on any given Sunday, there is a way to win if you do the right things. But they would go out and they'd come out flat, and it was like every Bears fan that has watched Bears Packers their whole life, or let's say the past, 8 years or so. I think that's a pretty good time frame. Like, after the first quarter, what the outcome of the game is going to be. And you think about the few Bears wins through and through, like Thanksgiving with Jay Cutler and the Tracy Porter interception to seal it. Like, you knew in that game that actually
Tracy
had a chance.
Porter interception was such a moment.
It was
Like,
Thanksgiving. It was so right. It
Yeah,
was a
I
big
remember
win
that.
for the Bears to like keep them in playoff contention, and it was at Lambeau.
In the hunt.
In the hunt, which we are. Make it known, and we're gonna bring it up every show. The Bears are in the hunt
For at least a couple more weeks.
Like
Because math.
Yeah, because math. But the reason why I texted you last year, during halftime was like it felt different. Like I don't. Like I knew in the back of my mind that the odds are that they were going to come back and beat you, but it didn't feel as inevitable as times before. And again, like after the first quarter, you were winning. Like you weren't down by 21 points.
Here's kind of the thing with that. You needed, like, if you're going to be the Packers, you need, especially last year's team, which was very flawed. And this year's team is flawed as well. At least this year's team has like heart and fight. You needed those crazy plays though. Like you needed the return touchdown. You needed the Demir Bird wild like slant touchdown that happened. Like you needed those. However, the thing that killed you was you couldn't make the fundamental like vanilla plays. That team could not make the vanilla plays. Now, last week, notwithstanding, because like the conditions and it was a wacky game and you kind of just have to throw it out. Like everything you saw. Yeah, great. You got the win, but you have to throw it out. It was conditions that you're not going to see again this year. Very unlikely that you see that.
New game plan.
Right. You just have to throw it out. You're not going to see that again. So can this team make those plays? Now, like last week, you won because you were the team that was able to make the crazy plays. You were able the Pettis touchdown specifically. You were able to make the crazy plays. You were able to prevent other like you were able to take advantage of it with the Eddie Jackson interception, and you were able to take advantage of Trey Lance's inexperience in those conditions. So you need plays like that if you're going to win a game, especially against teams like the 49ers, who are expected to be Super Bowl contenders, and especially like the Packers, who have the reigning two-time back-to-back MVP and who is probably going to be in MVP contention again. You need those crazy plays, but you also have to make the vanilla, just usual plays, the regular plays, the just bland everyday plays. You have to make those plays on top of taking advantage of those crazy game-breaking plays when they come your way. Now, we saw that the Bears were able to do that last week. Now, can you make the regular plays? Can you make the day-to-day block? Like, can you throw a slant play for 6 yards for a first down?
Exactly.
Can you just get a first down on 3rd and 4? Can you do that? If you put those two together, then yeah, you're able to win a game. If you get points off a turnover, can you convert turnovers into points? We'll see. Like that, you just have to do the regular things too.
This is literally something, I wrote down in my notes, like this exact thing. Cause I thought about that. I think about that game a lot, that game where you went up and you have all these big plays and you're like, wow, like for the first time they get explosive plays. For the first time you see a flash of explosion from that offense, which was, it was dormant at the time. And you're like, how did they lose that game with all the explosive plays? Well, outside of those plays, like the offense still had struggle moving down the field, right? And the defense couldn't stop anyone. And they were not moving down the field at all. They were not eating up clock. And there was like, oh, well, Demir Bird scores. I'm like, okay, we're in the game, but we're not having the 7-minute drives getting down the field and scoring, right? Like they weren't doing that. And I think we saw a little bit of glimpse of that against San Francisco, but it needs to be more fluid. And I need to see a little bit more. And that's where those bare minimum things come in, and we're just doing the little bare things minimum. Come in. Yeah. Oh my
That's
God.
Anyway, continue.
I can't deal with this guy. But I mentioned it last week. So take this, right? Again, last week, the Bears were first in the NFL in percentage of plays in which they rushed the ball. Obviously, the circumstances have something to do with that, but 66% of their plays or rushes. Next best was like 58% in the league. So they were running the ball a lot. And regardless of the circumstances, we've heard all offseason that this has been the plan and that they're going to run the ball a heck of a lot of times, right? And I get it. But, I'm like, first down, take a shot. Take a shot, go down the field, but like not even take a shot, like again, like slant routes, something across the field, right? I'm not talking about curl routes and something where somebody's falling on the ground. Get somebody coming across the field, get somebody the ball in their hands with a chance to run a little bit. I mean, you have a lot of really versatile guys in this offense. Velus Jones Jr. limited in practice this week. We expect him to play. The things that they can do with him, he's their Jakeem Grant this year, right? I mean, you remember the things, they're not exactly alike, but
they're parallels.
There's enough parallels for me to make that comparison. And if you saw the things that they did with Jakeem Grant last year, like against the Packers, that's exactly what I expect them to do with Velus Jones Jr. He's your I don't think he's your Deebo Samuel in the sense of like he's going to be rushing the ball out of the backfield like in an I formation, but like returns and the screens and the end of rounds. Like I want to see a lot of movement on this offense. And again, it's those little things like longer drives, longer extended drives. You're not going to beat the Packers by like you need don't get me wrong, you need the explosive plays, but you need both. Like you need to grind it out, right? You need to grind it out, and then every once in a while, like that's exactly how Minnesota beat them. Like they had the explosive plays with Justin Jefferson, and there's a screen of there's a Sweden loading screen. On our background. If you guys aren't watching us live, you should be watching us live on YouTube and Twitch every single week because there are some things that we do. First of all, I mean,
we need to promote that.
We should probably promote that. I just figured people assume. But yeah, like do the little like again. I'll bring it up. If people want to understand what I'm talking about, watch the highlights of Bills Rams on Thursday night, like or watch any Bills game. Like that's what they do. That's what the best teams do so well. And watch the Chiefs. Like, yeah, the Chiefs are the most explosive one of the most explosive offenses we've ever seen. But at the same time, like, it's so easy for them to move down the field with 5-yard plays each play. You know what I mean?
Routine plays. That's the word I was looking for. Oh, my God. That's why I kept saying, like, normal and vanilla because I couldn't think of the word routine. Routine plays. Oh, I'm very open about how dumb I am. I've long said that. Routine plays, yes. But to Kevin's point, you have to have the explosive players, but you also have to make the routine plays. Like I said, the slants, the first down, like the 5-6 yard plays, haven't seen that in a while from the Bears. Now, David Montgomery didn't have the best day. You're obviously hoping you can rely on him. Khalil Herbert had a great day. You can rely on him, hopefully. But also, you have to take advantage of being able to make these routine plays. One thing I will say about a difference between this team is we've talked about the culture, the fire they play with. If they go down by a touchdown in the half, they're not coming out, all right, we're dead. We only have a half now to make them. They'll go out there and it seems like they'll fight. The Bears had a lead last year at halftime and they came out flat. That for sure won't happen with this team. This team will come out and say, all right, we're about to steal a win. And of course they'll go on the post game and say, oh, it's not stealing a win. We expect to win these games. Da, 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 da.
Well, I do.
We all know what the truth
I think there's no. I think there's truth to that. I really do.
Well, they might believe it, but we know what the truth is.
Well, right. Well, yeah. I mean, I look. I just think
the truth is you're stealing a game.
The truth is right. The truth is you're stealing the game. But as long as the mindset in the locker room is, hey, we expect to win. Like that's the right mindset. Like I am. I think I even saw a TikTok about it today. I'm sick of the underdog mentality now. Like I am. Like we've been
it seems
pitching,
like they don't have that.
Well, exactly.
I mean,
which is good.
If you believe what they're saying in post game,
right? Because we've pitched this narrative for how long? Like every time you play the Packers, it's underdog and like, oh, they really need to feed off the fact that they're underdogs in this game, and that should light a fire under their ass.
Graphic, everybody picking the Packers except
right,
Ditka. Like
except Ditka, yes, exactly. It's so good because it's just so Bears and it's Ditka and it's hilarious,
and
but
it still plays for the last.
And it still plays. I don't expect any of the people on Sunday Night Football to pick. I do expect a couple. I feel like Chris Sims is just gonna be like, oh, take the Bears today.
I think it's gonna be Packers across the board.
You think so?
Oh, 1000%.
Aaron
Rodgers at home in a bounce back spot. And
but there's
the Bears going to Lambeau in a game that everyone thought they just only won because they got lucky with the weather. Yeah, 100%.
Someone's gonna pick the Bears. I think like it's gonna be like Jock Collinsworth.
No, I was gonna say it's gonna be Jason Garrett, and I'm gonna feel terrible about it, and then I'm gonna be like, crap.
If Jason Garrett picks the Bears,
you're screwed.
Like, you're losing the game.
You lost.
So here's the difference, though. When you talk about, okay, bounce back, right? And oh my God, the same thing happened last year. Saints won 38-3, and everyone's pitching the same narratives about, and look, I came on this show last year, and at the time, I had talked all last offseason about, I don't really think the relationship between Rodgers and LaFleur is there. And I think that maybe there's issues, and I really believed it after the first game against New Orleans. I was like, there actually might be problems in Green Bay. So like, but I think the difference this year is like, the problems, like we were kind of making shit up last year. Like, maybe there's something with LaFleur and Rodgers. Like the roster's fine, but like maybe no one in the building likes each other. And Rodgers is weird, and like Rodgers is weird, but there was no problem. There was no problem with that. But now, like when you look at the roster and you watch the way they played against Minnesota, there's legitimate things to be concerned about.
There's beef.
There's not beef, but there is beef between Rodgers and the young receivers. But like from a legitimate like personnel standpoint, and defensively they weren't impressive either. Like I think this team is probably as vulnerable as they've been in since 2018 when they were, 6-10 or 7-9, whatever they were in 2018 when we won the division. I think they're as vulnerable as since then. Like,
here's the thing with that. So obviously the whole Rodgers and his receivers thing has been talked about ad nauseum. I talked about it too. I mean, I'm a part of that. If you're going to do that, and I said this, if you're going to have a shot at winning this game, you have to like sow that divide and really like you have to get in and like make that divide even wider.
Right.
If you're going to do that, you have to do it right away. Has to happen immediately. Like there has to be, because here's the thing. Those Packers receivers, maybe they're doubting themselves. Of course, they'll say no, that's not the truth. But we know Jalen Johnson likes to talk shit. We know Jaquan Brisker is a dude. He's a dog. He'll probably talk that shit. Eddie Jackson getting that interception is the best possible thing that could have happened, because a confident Eddie Jackson will talk that shit. He'll get in your ear. Like he'll talk, and it won't be Javon Wims. I'm talking just to talk as I actually suck. These guys can play, and they have the play to back it up. Like Eddie Jackson now, if he goes in and he's trying to jaw on somebody's face, like he goes, yeah, look at that pick I made on Trey Lance a week ago. Like he can back it up. He has the play now. He's like, I'm back. Like you can say that now. Jaquan Brisker made a great play last week. He can say like, yeah, I'm that dude. Jalen Johnson has been that dude for 2 years now. Like these guys can talk shit. These Packers receivers can't. They have nothing. What's his face dropped a wide open touchdown last week. Christian Watson dropped a wide open walk-in touchdown last week. They can say, yeah, I can uncover you and I'll just let you drop the ball. Like they can say these things because the Packers receivers had and Romeo Doubs ended up having a decent game, but like the rest of them didn't do shit. And meanwhile, the Bears young guys are making plays left and right. But you have to do it right away. Like there has to be, if somebody goes out and makes a statement play on defense right away, like on that first drive, it doesn't have to be a takeaway necessarily, but a statement play, like even a big hit, like something like a statement set the tone, then I'll believe you have a shot at winning this game.
That's true. I agree with that. I think you have to make that statement early, right? And when I look at the receivers and Rodgers, like I'm also skeptical to say like Rodgers has no confidence in them, because Rodgers has always spread the ball around very well. And right. he's always throwing it to guys who are young. He's always throwing it to guys who are inexperienced or they're undrafted. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, Rodgers isn't going to throw to them because he's not comfortable throwing to them. Like, he's going to throw the ball to them. He is. But I don't know if they're going to catch it, but I also do I don't really have a lot of trust in what they were really doing offensively overall. Like a lot of the receivers weren't getting open. The separation wasn't great when I watched that game back. And it's not the same offense. And it's very, and there is validity to the point that like Davante Adams did so much for that offense outside of just him catching the football. Like the impact that he had on a defense, just his presence there and the attention that he drew as the best receiver in the NFL and as creatively as they used him, like they did look a little bit lost without him. And everyone is going to, everyone in Green Bay and in Packers world is going to tell you, it's just one guy. It's just one receiver. Well, it's different when it's the best receiver in football. And, the way that they used him and his presence in the offense was arguably greater than any other offensive skill player at the wide receiver position on any other team in the league. Like the way they used him, the amount of times they targeted him, the amount of times they moved him around, especially in the red zone, like, you knew exactly what you were going up against when you played the Green Bay Packers every week, and it was still and there was still no stopping it. So when I think about like the differences, yeah, it's just one guy is gone, but it's a pretty big. It's an important loss.
And not even that. I mean, they lost. I mean, not that he was the best player in the world, but like you lost Marquez Valdez-Scantling to the Chiefs, and he opened the defense up. He was due for one opportunity each week to burn you. He was a deep
and he would either catch it or drop it.
Right. He was right. It's famously said by Chris Nano. Yeah, like he was a deep threat. He was something. So you lose him, and then I think Alan Lazard being inactive last week is what really kind of
there's truth to that. But it's Alan Lazard.
Right, but I mean, he could still play a little bit.
He can play, but
I mean, he's their number one.
But he's not Davante Adams.
Right, but still, like, you lost all three of your top guys going into week one. So, like, and they probably knew that. You had a lot of time to prepare for that. So it's like, it's a lot of different things. Like, but yes, you're right about the Davante Adams thing. But, I mean, there's still, like, a whole void by losing all your top three guys.
Yeah. I mean, yes, absolutely.
Which is why you have Aaron Rodgers saying we got to involve the running backs more. Because those are really the only guys he completely
trusts.
trust because he's played with them for more than one game.
Yeah, and the thing that I think they're going to do on Sunday, honestly, we expect. Let's just break it down. That we expect Bakhtiari and Elton Jenkins and Alan Lazard to play.
Yes.
I mean, they all practice this week. Let's just expect them to play.
And granted, it's only Wednesday,
right?
but
And that'll be we'll just, for the sake of this podcast, that's the expectation.
they're on track to play.
I think what they're going to do on Sunday is they're really, really going to dumb things down, and like not like dumb things down, but like the way they run their offense is going to be very simple. It's going to be very basic. And if you really think about the way Green Bay hurts you, like it's always been really basic. Like they do it in a smart way, but they'll set things up underneath for a quarter. And then the moment the second quarter starts, they'll find a deep shot and just burn you. And they get and Rodgers, obviously, you know what Rodgers is going to do. He's one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. Like he's going to make the guys around him better. But I think you're going to see a lot of, how many times have we seen screens to Aaron Jones and a lot of simple, just get a guy a ball with a little bit of space, halfback screens, wide receiver screens. Like if you really, if Rodgers is in the meeting room, if he is in the meeting room this week, and it's like, hey, I saw Christian Watson drop a perfectly placed ball, and he's telling them like, maybe I don't feel comfortable doing that against the secondary that's looked pretty good last week. I wouldn't be surprised if they just do a lot of no huddle, quick to the line, slant routes, the things that we've been talking about that Rodgers is so good at. I mean, it's been to the point, Jake, and I think about this all the time when I watch Bears Packers. Like when the Packers are in 3rd and 4 and they go like 5 wide, I don't even stand up from my couch. Like I know it's a first down. Like it's just so easy. Slant route touch, slant route first down. Like it's just it's like
playing Madden.
It's like yes. It's so defeating. Like I the way I watch the game, like I stand up for pretty much every 3rd down because like I'm just
honestly, when I picture you watching any Bears game, but especially Bears Packers, I imagine you just standing the entire time.
Not during the commercials.
Well, okay, fair.
But the standing is probably like 74%. That's like a very fair number. But do you know what I mean? Like, do you not feel the same thing sometimes? Like how they just make it's just easy for them.
Yes, Kevin, I felt that way for the last lifetime every time you play the Packers.
So, but like again, like a majority of the times when you were in those situations, 3rd and 4, who were they throwing the ball to? Right? Like they were throwing the ball to Devontae Adams, and like his releases at the line of scrimmage are so good that I don't care how good of a corner you are, you're just not covering it. But that so there's that. And here's the other thing defensively. What they need to do that they never do is keep them in 3rd and long, right? Like,
you don't say. Letting up less yards is good.
That seems like a recipe to winning.
You mean to tell me, Kevin Lapka, that 3rd and 8 or 9 or 3rd and 10 or longer is better than 3rd and 2 or 1?
Do the math.
Wait, did everyone else know this? Am I the only one? Am I the only one figuring this out?
I don't deserve
right
this slander.
Am I the? So if you, Kevin, do you mean to tell me?
I do.
Wow.
I do mean to tell you.
Thank you for this
that if you were in 3rd and 10, your odds of getting the first down are lower than if you were in 3rd and 5.
Okay. So
I'm just so you know, because apparently that's something you didn't know.
Okay.
If you carry the 2,
if
you carry the 2,
this is
groundbreaking content.
Unbelievable.
But the reason why I say that,
I just didn't know we had a true mathematician.
I know. I mean, I did pretty good on my ACT math score. I'm just going to put it out there.
Excuse me.
Yeah, excuse you.
Math was my worst subject.
It ended up being my worst subject. Once you start throwing letters into numbers, that's when I opt out.
I got a D+ in Stats 100 in college, and I never took another math class again.
I think I might have gotten a
for
C.
obvious reasons.
I don't blame you.
Passing
You're
grade.
a journalism major.
It's a passing grade.
Not necessary. D's get degrees, Jake Hassan. The bottom line, the reason why I say this is I feel like
stay in
so many, for all the youngins out there, stay in school.
Stay in school. I am not a model student.
Yeah, that's to say the least.
Or human.
Or that.
Let's listen to your parents. Anyway.
Listen to Jake Hassan, then listen to your parents.
No.
Opposite. Don't do that.
Opposite. It
feels like the Packers oftentimes get into situations where they're in 4th and 2 and 4th and 1. And again, and it's the same thing I said when they get into 3rd and 4. Like for them, it's automatic.
When you have AJ Dillon, that helps.
Well, it helps too, because he's he's like the Derrick Henry. I'm gonna get you the couple yards. But even in those situations, like I don't even feel like they're running it that often in those situations. But I just say that because I do feel like I have to get into the numbers about how often that's happened. But I feel like a lot of time, especially at home, at Lambeau, Sunday Night Football, you got the crowd who's like, "Yeah, go for it every fucking down," right? Like they're like that's how they extend drives, man. And it's just, and sometimes it's just that one drive that can break you. So if you get off the field, if you know, that's what I mean. Like if you get them in a 3rd and 10, just don't let them get the 8 yards. Don't even let them get to an opportunity where they can consider going forward on 4th down. Like keep them at 4th and 4 or longer every single time.
Especially if they're in your territory, they'll go for it.
Exactly. And the way, and the reason why I say that is because I think it's different the way this team hustles to the ball is like, the way that they hustle, it's like, it's a difference in a couple of yards, like getting to like even, and it's not just the final tackle. It's like, even if Jaquan Brisker's going downfield at the runner, he's just putting a body. I'm slowing him down a little bit. And then there's Roquan to clean it up. Right. So I just like, cause when I think about the most grueling times that the Packers, you know, get after you, it's when it's like 11-minute drives and they got a couple grinding you down. And again, it's not explosive plays. It's just slow moving, 5-yard slant route, 8-yard run.
Well, so to your
6-yard screen pass.
So to your point, yeah, because they just grind you down, then your defense is gassed, and then obviously you're going to make less plays the more tired your defense gets. Or if you're rotating your 4th, 5th depth chart guys, and you know it's obviously going to get worse. So I mean, to your point about longer yardage situations are obviously better for your defense. Shorter like drives, like if don't let them grind, like keep it to a 3 and out, or only let them convert 1 first down. So, and then you'll be able to make those explosive hustle plays, and you can go far, you know, come barreling downhill in a 3rd and 3 and make a play and make a stop later in the game. I mean, like Roquan Smith shooting the gap, and then you know, stop on 3rd and 4 or whatever, give them a 4th and 4 to actually think about then. Yeah. So it's to that point, like, hey, I know this is the dumbest thing. Like, newsflash, you play good and you now don't let the opposing offense make good plays, then you're going to win the game. Wow, that's crazy. What a concept. I know. We sound like idiots right now.
Well, so, yeah.
Everything you're saying, like, but that goes into, like, the hits philosophy, like the whole hustle and intensity thing. If you do that, then there's less of a chance. Like, Dominic Robinson makes plays like he did last week, you're going to have a good chance of winning.
Absolutely right. And look, here's what it comes down to. It came down to it last week, and it came down to it for the Vikings last week. It came down to it for the Bears last week, and it's going to come down to it for the Bears this week. You're not winning the game unless you get a takeaway on Rodgers. You're not winning the game. Yeah, you're not. I mean,
win the turnover battle.
We haven't won a game against Green Bay since 2018 division clinching. Am I mistaken?
Has to be.
It has to be. They didn't win a game against them in 2019. They lost both in 2020. They lost both last year. It has to be since 2018. And in that span, I know someone in the chat's going to pop in. They're stupid for not knowing this. Jake's doing his research. Known research expert.
The research and development.
Research and development team is on it. Yep. But I do believe in that same span, the Bears have also not intercepted Aaron Rodgers.
That makes sense.
Since 2018, Eddie Jackson. There is a correlation there. I promise you there is a correlation there. And the correlation will continue unless they intercept Aaron Rodgers this year or this week.
12-16, 2018.
Yep.
So, yeah, that checks out. It had to have been the clinching one. Yep.
No interceptions from I do not believe there was an interception from Rodgers, because I think there was a crazy stat that he hasn't thrown an interception into the NFC.
StatMuse is such a good site.
It really is. Like, they get a lot of hate on Twitter, but that site is really incredible. Like, you can just ask it. You know what you can do for baseball on that site? You can find any player's like hits average against any specific pitcher. It is an unbelievable tool for betting. But again, takeaways are how you're going to win this game. If you end the game, if you look at the box score at the end of the game on Sunday night or Monday morning, and you see that the Bears have 0 takeaways, you're going to find out. You're going to look up, and you're going to find out that the Bears did not win that game. It's just the way it's going to be. And I have a little bit more confidence with this, the way the secondary is built, that they can do that. I do.
The Bears' last interception against Aaron Rodgers was also that game.
Exactly.
December 16, 2018.
I mean, I promise there's a correlation there.
That's crazy.
It's insane. It's insane.
This is the list of Aaron Rodgers interceptions versus the Bears. So 12-16, 2018. Before that, 11-26, 2015. Before that, 12-29, 2013. Then they wow, that's actually crazy. So 2011 they had 2. Then 2012 they had 1. Then 2013 they had 1. Then 2-year span. Then 3-year span. And now we're going on year 4. That's actually
so since 2013, Aaron Rodgers has only thrown 3 interceptions against the Chicago Bears.
Mm-hmm.
In 18
in
18 games.
Which means he's due.
He's so
due.
He's never been more due. But look, I mean, and look, it's not just like I do believe the secondary is talented, but you talk about the weaknesses of the Packers. Maybe a ball goes off of Romeo Doubs' hands. Maybe a ball goes off. Maybe they run the wrong route, right? I mean, these are younger. You have 2 rookies at starting wide receiver, in Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson.
Yep.
There's a strong chance, and we know that there's been this isn't just one game against Minnesota. The issues are here with that receiving core. Sure. In the offseason, there was a press conference with Rodgers, and Rodgers was like, our rookie guys, our guys need to catch the ball. Our guys need to be running the right routes. Like, there was issues in the offseason.
This is a months-long thing.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit of confusion. Someone runs the wrong route or just runs to the wrong area. And as smart as I believe this defense is, this now, like in the past, those things may have happened, but the Bears defense didn't take advantage of it.
Right.
Past 2018. They are built now. Not only from a
Eddie Jackson did it last week.
Yes,
he did it last week.
I mean, and look, when it was Jalen Johnson was on Parkins and Spiegel, and he said, he's like, I knew Eddie was there. You know, he's like, so I played a little bit off. I played outside leverage.
Funneled the receivers
Exactly. Just played outside leverage, lead them right into Eddie Jackson. That is good football. That's what
intelligent football.
So because it's not like I didn't really feel. I guess it was only 1 interception, but like it wasn't created by pressure. It was just your second, it was just your secondary being smart.
Right. And that's how you're going to have to do it. Take it because Rodgers isn't going to make a stupid throw. Like he's not going to.
No, he's not.
Like he's not going to make a dumb throw that you can take advantage of. Like you're going to have to take advantage of the inexperience and the uncertainty of these receivers and try to, make that divide between them and their quarterback bigger. But you have high IQ players and theoretically you can make that happen.
Yeah. Absolutely. Let's talk offensively here. We've been talking defense for a while.
We've been talking defense for 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's been quite a while because, again, I still believe, and you can tell me if you agree with me on this, like, if the Bears were to win this game, we'll get to our predictions at the end of the show, as we always do. I don't think they're winning offensively. I think they're going to they could score enough points to win, but they're not winning offensively. Like, it's not going to be 38-35.
Right.
Like, if the Bears win, it'll be in the 20s. They got a couple takeaways. They did what they needed to do on offense, but what do they need to do on offense, right? We hit a little bit on doing the simple things, but it's going to be a little bit more than that. And I think this is again, I mean, did we even see everything that Luke Getsy talked about? I mean, because they talked so long.
You saw 3% of what the Bears
you think
are
it's
planning
that
on.
low?
It has to be. You had
you didn't really have a choice.
Your best offensive player at the moment, obviously Justin Fields could end up being your best offensive player. Dave Montgomery didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have your offensive line that you want to work with, and you're tinkering with the offensive line in game. And one of your top offensive linemen has a club on his hand, and your quarterback didn't throw that much. He threw 17 times. Yeah, he threw 17 times in the game.
8 completions.
So it's I think you didn't see even the start of. You didn't see the tip of the iceberg. There's still way more that I think you did. Your top offensive rookie that you drafted in the 3rd round, granted, but still the first offensive guy that you drafted, you didn't see him in the game at all. He was inactive. So I think there's still layers and layers and layers and layers and layers and layers and layers to the Bears offense. And I think that you still have a lot to see here. I think you saw a little bit of it when they started doing play action and started doing, bootlegs and running, a little more stuff with play action and all the motion. But yeah, I think there's still way more to the Bears offense. I don't even think you saw the start of it.
It's really funny to me because the Fox broadcast didn't mention it. It felt like no one really talked about the absence of Velus Jones Jr. Right?
Well, I mean, he's a 3rd round.
Right. I do think that they drafted him for a reason, and they clearly have a lot of confidence in him because that was really outside of,
Well, because I think that's the type of thing you save until he's on the field because obviously, because obviously, the coach is the first thing you're going to talk about, and year 2, Justin Fields and the new regime. There's a lot to get to before you get to an inactive Velus Jones Jr.
Right, but I'm still in general
the weather.
Yeah, that's what dominated it. But even in the Bears community, there wasn't a lot of talk about how could this.
Well,
and again, he's not.
I think it's because you didn't see him a lot in the offseason either.
Right. So if anything, when you talk about 3%, that's he's not a major key, but he's important. I think he's
someone you hope can have a significant role in the offense.
And if anything, maybe you get a little lucky. You win that game without him, and now Green Bay has no idea how you're going to use him. They have no idea.
He plays,
and assuming he plays again, he was limited this week. We expect if you're limited on Wednesday, I expect you pretty much to play.
Sure.
And like you have a real chance to catch him off guard with something. But I think the bottom line for me is if you're going to win this game, Darnell Mooney's going to have 80 plus receiving yards. Darnell Mooney, this is his game. And when I went back and watched it, like I don't really chalk up his stat line to him being bad or anything. Like
listen, I said this the whole game last week. You take the win, great, awesome. You take the defensive performance and the intensity, great, awesome. Everything else you have to throw out. You have to throw everything that we saw on Sunday against the 49ers. For the 49ers, too, they're saying this week, I'm sure, too. You have to throw it out. It is not – you see that game once every 5 years. Like, you see a game like that with those conditions throughout the game, not just for a quarter or a half. Throughout the game, it was crap. It infected the game completely. You don't see that every year even. You don't even see that once a year and for these Midwest teams. And granted, half of them have domes now, so you don't. But, like, you have to throw it out. You didn't see – you think the 49ers are sitting here saying, yeah, you saw our whole playbook. In those conditions, absolutely not.
Yeah,
100%.
that's true.
So there is so much that is unknown. There is so much – yeah, of course, it's the most obvious statement to me that you can make because you have to throw everything out.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, like really the only tape we have then is going back to that Cleveland game, because I think that was the best example we have of, okay, these things are new and guys are getting open. And, you know, Darnell Mooney, I didn't even think he maybe had one catch in that game too, but I just want the things that they can do with him. Like, he's the guy that needs to be getting the ball on the slant routes. Like, he is their quote unquote Devontae Adams in the sense that like he needs to be.
He's the guy doing Chipotle commercials to Justin Fields.
He is, and you know Chipotle knows a little something. They know that these two are going to have a good season, and you know like he's going to target him. He is going to target Darnell Mooney, who is his favorite target last year. Even when Allen Robinson was there, he's his favorite target in training camp last year, and it was evident on the field, and that's why we think he's going to be a 1,200-yard receiver. And it kind of take a hit to that stat line. Not a great start. Kind of take a hit to that. I know we've been preaching that for 4 months, and it sucks that he had 8 yards. But 17 game season, we get bailed out there. But like, what I need to see is like he can break you down the field. Like Darnell Mooney has the ability to blow the top off of a defense, and that's why he's sort of in my eyes he can be a do-it-all receiver. And he's like Deontay Johnson. Like that's what I see from him. Like he can make. Well,
we made that comparison. A month or two ago.
Yeah, because like he can make the acrobatic catches. He can make some contested catches. And
I will say I don't know if Darnell Mooney can make the non-catch that Deontay Johnson had against the Bengals. That was crazy.
No, it was a catch. Did
they end up ruling it a catch? The review lasted like 8 minutes, so I walked away. But
he made that catch, and he made a catch like that in training camp. I think he's capable of doing it. But like the bottom line is like what I want to see. No, regardless, get him the ball. Just get him the ball.
Yeah,
put the ball in his hands one way or another.
That's always been the thing with the Bears. Put the ball in your playmaker's hands.
And you know what I noticed last week too? Because like you can put the ball in your playmaker's hands all you want, but if the blocking is not good, like not the offensive line blocking, but the receivers blocking. Like Equanimeous St. Brown was a great blocker last week.
Yep.
We know Cole Kmet's a good blocker. Like all you have to do is trust your receivers to block a little bit better than they did last year. And all of a sudden, when you put the ball in somebody else's hand, then you're going to see production. So what do you want to see from Darnell Mooney on Sunday?
I mean, not just Darnell Mooney, but a whole offense. Like, show us a little bit of what we've been promised is my thing. Like, show us.
Which is what?
Well, and so I said this on Monday, too. Like, ditch the shotgun. Like, or, like,
go under center
under center.
From the start.
Do the play action. Do the in motion. Ditch the shotgun. Use it here and there, but don't use that as your primary set. Use other things that we were promised, and let's see some more creativity. And we saw a little bit of it in little glimpses, but it just show us like Luke Getsy is in my mind the most important guy to this, whatever success you're going to have on Sunday, if any at all. He's the most important to this. Like show us, granted, I keep saying this, throw out Sunday because that was not allowing you to do whatever you want to do, but show us, come out under center right away and put the ball in your playmaker's hands, whether that's Darnell Mooney or David Montgomery or Khalil Herbert. Just put the ball in your playmaker's hands and let something happen. Make things happen. Give them the chance. Give them the opportunity to make something, even if it's out of nothing. That's how you get those magic plays. Justin Fields, the scramble last year against the 49ers, made something out of nothing. The broken play with Dante Pettis made something out of nothing. Just show us something, and show us that you have the ability to open up this offense and be creative and show new looks that keep the opposing defense on their toes a little bit.
And here's where that happens, where it's most important. Inside the 20, in the red zone. You want to know why the Bears won last week? 2 red zone drives, 2 touchdowns. That never happened last year. And, if they go into the red zone last week and kick 2 field goals, they might lose the game. You might lose the game. And so when you talk about seeing all these different things and, the motions and the play action, how many times, Jake, do you remember the Bears walking into the end zone the past couple of years?
Oh, geez.
Just walking in. Never. Or a guy's wide open just catching the ball.
Yeah.
Seldom, right? You watch the best teams and the way they design plays in the red zone, you can get really creative and really confuse the defense, and you will get guys just wide open. And then you'll get guys just prance into the red zone.
There's nobody around.
Yes.
Right? And granted, that's what the best teams
the
you see the Chiefs, the Chargers, obviously.
The Bills.
Yeah. That's what happens. But yeah, those types of plays where I agree with that completely.
That's the difference. Because again, we would talk a lot last year or the past couple of years, the Bears didn't have such a problem at times between the 20 and the 20.
Sure.
They would get down the field a little bit and they get to the red zone and just completely stall. You're not winning a game at Lambeau on Sunday Night Football against Aaron Rodgers with that crowd by kicking field goals. You're just not. And unfortunately, I don't know how we're feeling about Cairo, but he might be a little low on confidence after. I don't really know, but if he missed 2 extra points, again, conditions were tough, but could he be more confident? Probably. But to me, I'm intrigued, right? Because that's something we didn't see. We didn't see a ton. We saw a little bit of, what they want to do in the red zone. They got the Eddie Jackson pick that got him in there, and they were pretty close. And then Khalil Herbert scored. It was nothing crazy though. The throw to Equanimeous St. Brown was nice. It was nothing crazy. I want to see I think we're going to see something cool, something creative, and it's going to get a guy open with a lot of space, and he's just gonna walk in. And that's if they do that, Jake, if they get 2 takeaways and both those takeaways are turned into touchdowns, they win the game.
You win the game. Yep.
If you get 2 takeaways and both of them turn into touchdowns, you win the game.
Yeah, that's not crazy to say. We've been sitting here for the last 45 minutes or so saying make the takeaways and turn the takeaways into points. At least if you get 2 takeaways, you have to turn at least 1 into a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
You could get away with 1 being a field goal maybe, but you know what I'd want to see? And this is back to the Luke Getsy thing. A 4th and short and they go for it. If it's in the Packers territory 100%. And they go for it. Don't be afraid. I think that's going to be my big theme for how the Bears win this game. If you're going to win the game, don't be afraid. If you're Jalen Johnson or Jaquan Brisker or whoever, one of these, go, don't be afraid, talk your shit, talk the smack. If you're the offense, if you're Luke Getsy, 4th and 1, 4th and 2, and you're on the Packer 45, go for it. Don't be afraid, because if you're afraid and you're scared, you lose the game. Scared football loses games.
You're absolutely right. And in this environment against this team, and just for the past 10 years, you've been playing scared.
Yeah.
And you haven't been willing to take the risk, because you haven't been willing to go for it on 4th down or take a couple shots on the field or throw it on 1st down. You're absolutely right. And I think they will do that. I think we've seen a little bit of that already. And I think Justin Fields wants to do that. I think he's in the ear of Getsy saying I'm
it seems
I'm
like they have
and
a
I'm
good
aggressive.
relationship.
Oh yeah. And that's obviously an important relationship to have. But I think in a lot of those situations, it's not an executive decision, or at least if you have trust in your quarterback, it's not an executive decision. It's it's a discussion. Hey, Justin, you want to go for it right here? Yeah, man, I think we got a good play. Let's draw it up. I'm going to hit Mooney here on a little dig route. We got it. Let's run it. You know what I mean? In certain situations, it should be an executive decision, right? But in a lot of times, who was it? Was it I think it was the Philly special. I think it was Doug Peterson went up to Nick Foles and was like, you want to go for it here? And then
it was
those, I think I think that's a relationship that they exist.
Now, I don't think Justin Fields has the reputation. He hasn't earned that type of ability yet to be this is what we're doing.
He's not going to call the shots, but it's a conversation between them.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yes. I think it'd be a cohesive relationship. Yeah, you would hope. It seems like they have a good relationship. They both have great things to say about each other. And granted, they're not going to go out there and be like, yeah, Luke Getsy sucks or Justin Fields sucks. But it seems like there is a working, healthy relationship there.
I agree. I don't really have anything else written down for. Well,
Should we do bold predictions?
let's do bold predictions. And I just did you have anything else to say about like their like what like can you take anything away from what Justin Jefferson did to them last week and apply it to this week? Because
It's
like part of it is Justin Jefferson just
right.
being
So there's a
fucking
couple
unbelievable.
things.
Like
One is Justin Jefferson just making his ascension as the best receiver in the league. The second thing is Kevin O'Connell comes in as like this heralded offensive mind from the Sean McVay tree, from the Matt LaFleur tree. So that's the thing too. And the third thing is like, for as much as we crap on Kirk Cousins, he can make a play when it's that wide open and when it's that schemed well. And when you have a generational talent like Justin Jefferson to work with. So it's a couple things. Is Darnell Mooney Justin Jefferson? No. Is Luke Getsy O'Connell? No.
well, maybe. I mean,
Can he possibly? No. But at this moment in time, right now, September 14th at 8:16 p.m., no, he's not. Is Justin Fields Kirk Cousins? No, but he's not as consistent as Kirk Cousins. Is his ceiling higher? Yes. Kirk Cousins is consistent. Like
noted Kirk Cousins hater.
Right, but he is a consistent quarterback. Is he consistently mediocre? Yes, but Justin Fields, this thing has been the ups and downs. We haven't seen a consistent Justin Fields yet.
Yeah.
So those are a lot of different things. So I don't want to compare them to the Vikings yet, but
I mean, the fourth thing is like Jair Alexander wasn't covering him all game, and I thought that was really interesting because he expressed his displeasure with that in the post game press conference. He was like, I wanted to, you look,
but he also did get cooked.
He did get cooked a couple of times, but like. Jair Alexander's still probably a top 5 cornerback in the league.
Yeah.
And
but
that
when
guy
you
expects
when you get cooked like that,
Justin
it's Justin Jefferson, like you have to throw other you got to try something.
Right. But I think what it goes to say, like, this isn't just Darnell Mooney versus Jair Alexander. I think it's going to be designed differently. And I think their defense, like, dude, I saw a picture. They had Preston Smith lined up against Justin Jefferson in the slot for one play.
That's tough.
If they're doing that, we're good.
So that's the thing, though, too. Like, if you're Luke Getsy and they're lining up Jair, like you said, this can't be Jair Alexander against Darnell Mooney. If you're Luke Getsy, look where you can take advantage other places. If it's Preston Smith against Velus Jones Jr. or Byron Pringle, or if Cole Kmet has a nice matchup, and that's what we were talking about earlier. Take those routine plays if they give them to you. Take the 6-yard slant, or take the we saw hitch routes to we wanted to vomit last year, but that's because everybody on the roster was running them at the same time. If somebody's not open downfield because Jair Alexander's all over Darnell Mooney, if Cole Kmet's open for 5 yards, take the 5 yards, take the routine play because you're clearly not going to get the explosive play right now. So that's what is again to my point about Luke Getsy being so important to you if you're going to win this game in any game really. Identify the matchups, identify where you have an advantage, and then try to take advantage of that. And then if you can, you win the game.
Absolutely. I think you're right. Let's do bold predictions here as we wind down. I don't have anything crazy. Do you have something crazy? You want to start us off with a bang?
I don't have something crazy, but I think you do. I think you did Economia St. Brown revenge game. I think he catches a touchdown. I think he catches another touchdown. Back-to-back weeks of because you got the Dante Pettis revenge touchdown last week.
That's true.
So keep it rolling.
Keep it rolling. And then we don't have anyone previously from the Texans. So this would be you couldn't get a streak going after this week. But I like that. And I think I do think that what we saw against the 49ers, and although it was just, one play, and I think he only had maybe, was that his only reception? I think it might have been his only reception. Yeah. Like, I do think it shows a little something of what they want to do with him in the red zone. Like, I do think he is.
You weren't in the red zone.
Well, we talked.
Are you talking about Economia St. Brown?
Economia St. Brown.
Okay.
Because we talked in the offseason about, you don't really have a guy with a lot of size, but he's like your biggest guy. And like, that wasn't a play where you're throwing it in because of his size. But, if you want to take one play to like, just say Equinemius St. Brown, can you, be the bigger body receiver against Eric Stokes,
Sure.
And you can just out-muscle him. We're going to give you a shot on a fade route, right? Like, I don't think that's insane. I would like to see that. Equinemius revenge game. I'm down for it. I think Darnell Mooney scores like a 60-plus yard touchdown.
You think we get an explosive play?
I think we get a very explosive play from Darnell Mooney. He's had a couple of them against the Packers in his history. There was the one a couple years ago. He made that great catch down the field. I think he's going to make a big play. And I think, like, regardless of whether it's Darnell Mooney, like, there is going to be a play here that is a big 50+ yard explosive play. Like I do think we're going to see a lot of those this year. Like because Justin Fields just has the ability to create these.
He has the
now.
deep ball.
He has the he not only does he have the deep ball accuracy, but just in the play we saw to Pettis, like broken play, breakdown,
keep it alive.
Anything goes.
Yep.
Like why? Like Patrick Mahomes does this 3 times a game
Yep.
and finds
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson didn't look too good last week, but
I think that was more of his buffoon coach.
Well, that too. This is not Broncos podcast nation, but that was one of the dumber decisions.
That was tough. That was tough.
But I like this offense is built to make explosive plays, and I think Darnell Mooney is going to be on the receiving end of one of them. Do you have a second one? Because I've got one more.
Go for it.
Cole Kmet scores, and this is yours last week.
One of us always says it.
I know it's literally every week. This is the week Cole Kmet scores.
Kmet gets in the end zone finally.
Come on, we've been pushing the narrative so hard. He hates the Packers hometown. Come on, I got it.
Okay, I can get on board with that.
And I think someone picks off Rodgers. I'm not gonna even throw a name out there.
First time in 4 years.
I think for the first time in 4 years, and the fourth time in 9 years, someone picks off Aaron Rodgers. So that's
say a name. Just say a name. Say a name. 3, 2, 1. Say a name. Say a name.
Gordon. I said it last year.
Nice.
And again, I think.
How could you have said it last year? Because Kyler Gordon was.
Did I say last year? Last week. Sorry. Last week. But look, it could come again off a tip ball, but because these guys they're just at the ball. Like they're able, like if a ball is tipped, like they're there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could be into that.
Kyler Gordon's also just really good.
He was the first name that popped into my head too, because Jaquan Brisker had the big game last week.
Mm-hmm.
Kyler Gordon, then I was kind of thinking.
I feel like every week I'm just like on the verge of saying Eddie Jackson, just because.
Yeah, you said it a while last year.
Yeah, I said it a while because he's I don't know. And because we were waiting for it. It had been like 3 years since he got a pick. We were waiting for it. He finally got it. Let's go, Eddie. We've reached that point of the show.
Score prediction. You want me to go first, or you want to go first?
You can go first.
All right, I'll go first.
Yeah.
So all these things aside, you know what I'm going to say. If you've been listening to this podcast long enough, you know how this is going to go right now. You could probably predict it. We could probably pull one of you on the show, and you'll predict how this is going to go. I'll just recap everything we talked about. There are ways for you to win this game. Like there are avenues for you to win this game. And I feel like we say this every year with the Packers. Like if everything goes right, everything goes perfect, you can win this game, obviously. Ideal scenarios. But if you get in there and your secondary plays with confidence and you play fast and you play with that intensity and you make Rodgers a little bit uncomfortable and mostly you make those receivers uncomfortable, there is a way for you to win this game. And then if your offense feeds off your defense, obviously keep the good vibes going. A revenge touchdown by Equinomia St. Brown, you're in good shape. There are ways for you to win this game. Now, what does history tell us? We're going to get all excited. Sunday night, we're going to hear all these good things about Velus Jones Jr. is going to play. Lucas Patrick has the club off his hand, and the conditions are great. And Luke Getsy, he spent so much time in Green Bay. He's going to know what to do and what their weaknesses are. We're going to hit all over the next few days. That's all we're going to hear.
Talk about that narrative.
We didn't, but I mean, the Packers are smart enough to change things up enough where we see this in the NFL all the time. Yeah. So. All that being said, I do think the Bears lose this game. I do think they cover, though. It's 9.5 right now. It's probably going to be 10 by the time we get to game time. I think the Bears can cover. I think you can keep this a 1-score game. This just has heartbreaker loss written all over it. The Bears, good vibes off the San Francisco win. Getsy coming back to Green Bay. Velus Jones Jr. active, another potential weapon back. The defense looks good last week. This just has Green Bay 24, Chicago 21 written all over it. Just all over it. Excruciating. You're in it until the fourth quarter. And then there's just that dagger Rodgers deep throw to get them into field goal range, and you lose the game. That has it all written all over it. I'll say Packers 24, Bears 21.
I like that score. I do think that's a very accurate, and that would push put the under. I think or actually I'm not sure where the over under is at, but I'm 24-21 is like I do like that. And look, I'll preface my prediction with this. I do believe that this is your best chance to beat Green Bay since that 2018 game.
Sure.
To clinch the NFC North, like your best legitimate chance. Like I truly believe that, and it's not just an overreaction from what happened
would be
last
the over,
week.
By the way,
like that would
42.5.
Wow,
right
that's
now.
a very low over under. But I again, like the way this team prepares for games, not only the way that they come out at the start, but the way they adjust at halftime, right? We've seen the Bears have leads and be close with the Packers in games, especially last year. You had the 10-point lead at halftime. And then, even in the first game, you were within striking distance in the fourth quarter. Like, you had opportunities to win those games. Your team not only I don't think was maybe good enough from a personnel standpoint, but you didn't have the same will to win that this team does. I'm going to pick the Packers to win 26-24. I'm not in a position to pick the Bears to win. But I do think that I don't trust them in the red zone. I think they kick 4 field goals. I think that's how you get to 26. I think they kick 4 field goals. I think they score 2 touchdowns and kick 4 field goals. And the defense really does, play well and, not allow them to get in the end zone, and it keeps you in the game. And I honestly think you have a lead 24-23 into the final 2 minutes, and it's a Rodgers 2-minute drill and like,
God, that would suck.
It would suck, but
that would really suck.
I'm just, look, the bottom line is, like, the thing,
even though I said the same thing.
The thing that, you literally said the exact same thing. Heartbreak has written all over it. Rodgers goes down the field with a deep ball.
I said it would be like tied. You're like, you have the,
you're really getting teased on this one.
Yeah.
Great.
But can't wait.
I think one thing to consider is at some point the youth of this team will show, and the no better time for it to show, like, in a negative way, against Rodgers on Sunday Football. Like I think they're going to come out hot, and I think they take the lead in this game. But I think at some point, like, the inexperience in the secondary might show, and there might be miscommunication. Someone gets open. Like, there's going to be some sort of something at the end of the game that we're going to go back to on Monday and be like, shit, man, if they made that play, if there wasn't a rookie mistake,
which is we've said so many times against Rodgers, if you just stop that one play.
Right. And I am Scox in the chat. It says 24-20 Bears. He says, I'm taking the W. Look,
I wanted
to.
Boys.
I wanted to. And look, and again, this is going to be a competitive game.
I'm surprised you didn't.
I'm not in a position yet to do it. Like, I pushed the narrative last year about changing of the guard. No, the changing of the guard thing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And let me say,
that was a big Kevin Lapka line last year.
But when it happens, it's true. Like, I do think when it whenever it happens, it's like,
and when the sun comes up tomorrow, it'll be daytime. Like,
I truly believe, like, the moment they get this win against the Packers with Justin Fields is when, this rivalry starts to change back to the Bears' favor. I do. Like, I don't think it's, we stole one from them.
Okay,
we're going to go back to misery. Like,
would you feel the same if the Bears, so, like, let's say theoretically the Bears win this game in Lambeau, but then the Packers come back and beat the Bears at Soldier Field? Would you still stand by that?
Depends on the matter of victory or the matter of loss.
Okay.
But, like, regardless, I think there's going to be a noticeable shift. Like, hey, we've arrived. And if they beat Green Bay, and if you beat Green Bay, you have a much higher shot to make the playoffs and for them not to make the playoffs if you win this game.
Well, yeah, because then the Texans and Giants.
Yeah, like, the division is in play if you win this game, in my opinion, given the schedule that you have coming up. If you steal 2 games from the Niners and the Packers, and then you still have to play the Jaguars, the Giants, the Texans, the Jets, other winnable games, the Patriots, who look like they stink, the Lions twice, who you should steal at least 1 from them. I just counted out like 6 wins. Like, they can win.
Then you're at 8 wins already.
Yeah. So
that's fair.
The bottom line, Jake, like, this is going to be a different game. This isn't going to be Bears misery of past. Like, we might get heartbroken at the end, but for the first 46 minutes of the game, we're
Make us stay up the entire game and then just absolutely crush our souls. Great.
Would that be worse?
I was going to ask you this earlier in the show. What would be worse, to just come out and get your teeth kicked in immediately, and in the first couple of drives you're going to lose, or have your heart ripped out?
Have your heart ripped out.
Yeah, right.
No. Wait, that would be better. Sorry, having your heart ripped out would be better, because
probably
the optimism that you carry into the next week
for a season-long outlook point.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
You're probably right.
And as the eternal optimist of all time,
gross.
You got to go with come on, have a little optimism once.
Well, we both just picked the Packers to win, so
yeah, but.
All right. Yeah. So we both picked the Packers to win. However, we both think that there's a road to victory if everything goes right, and that there will be optimistic things to take away from this game. So all that being said, still a young team, still early in the season, still going to watch, because you're here watching this or listening to this, and it's the Bears Nation podcast, and we're still Bears fans, and we're still going to watch. No matter what, we're going to go down with the ship, going to go down with the Titanic. So for myself, for Kevin Lapka, for you, the viewers, thank you as always to the YouTube chat, the Twitch chat, the TikTok viewers. We love all of you, the listeners who are consuming this in podcast form. You guys are the best. We appreciate you. We will be back on Monday to recap whatever nonsense happens on Sunday night. So be there. Kevin, plug the link because I can't remember it right now.
For what?
For this show, you idiot.
For what platform?
Bears Nation Podcast on YouTube and Twitch and TikTok.
This man asked me to plug the link.
I thought you were just going to
https://youtube.com/Bears Nation Podcast /Bears Nation Podcast. Is that what you wanted from me? You said plug the link. I just gave you the whole link URL. Write it down. https://youtube.com/Bears Nation Podcast.com. On Twitch and YouTube and TikTok, weekly, Mondays and Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Central Time. Is that what you wanted, Jake?
I made a horrible mistake.
So
that's all the information
Content
you
supremacy.
need. We'll be here on Monday to recap the Packers game. Until then, for myself, for Kevin Lapka, this has been Bears Nation Podcast. As always, bear down.
Bear down.